Shit! Who are you?
Are you comfortable?
Let me out of this cocksucking thing!
Not while you're so agitated.
Vampire Wars is a 1991 OVA based on the 80s light novel series of the same name by Kiyoshi Kasai. Like much mid-range, mature, aimed animated fare during the Golden Age, it was released straight to DVD by Manga Entertainment in 2002, with an actual broadcast later in the decade where a few of you may have caught it on Sci-Fi or the Canadian equivalent thereof. These were the kinds of releases that used to choke the anime shelves back in the day, quick dubbed and shoddily localized to keep a steady flow for the burgeoning teen anime crowd, like your Wicked Cities or your Doomed Megalopolis or Ninja Scroll. Although I most certainly would not put Vampire Wars anywhere near the works of Yoshiaki Kawajiri or Rin Taro. Look, I'm not going to edge you anymore. You came here for the shit circus, and I am your ringmaster. If you happen to enjoy this particular Ghost of Anime Past, I've covered many other games, anime, and movies on this channel, so hey, maybe subscribe or share if you feel so inclined. And without further ado, I present, in all its glory, Vampire Wars. It certainly doesn't start slow, I'll give it that. We're immediately thrust into some sort of military operation as a group of soldiers infiltrate what appears to be some sort of radio installation. Perhaps trying to be artistic, we keep cutting away to the credits mid-Bulletstorm, the switch each time heralded by this weird sort of screechy sucking sound. The first few times, it's not bad. By the 6th or 7th, it's gotten a bit annoying. By the 10th, I swear the editor is fucking with me. One of the soldiers, somehow still alive despite being ventilated by the munitions budget of the Chicago PD, brandishes a grenade designed to freedom patrol herself while shouting, which means absolutely nothing right now and will continue to do so for most of the movie. There's a short dialogue scene after that confirms not only that the installation was destroyed, but also through very careful and subtle visual allegory, hints at us that the Americans might have something to do with what's going on. Now, from here on out, I want you to pay very close attention because the movie's going to do a lot of this incisive and subtle foreshadowing, and it'll be very easy to miss if you're not paying attention. Yep. Super easy to miss. After blessing us with this just wonderful clip art title card, complete with 3D effects, we cut to Paris, where we are introduced to our yet unnamed hero, manly anime protagonist 6041, who, after receiving a desperate call for help from a friend, immediately rushes out to help, but by the time he arrives, shit. Although he makes quick work of the lunatic responsible, the fast-approaching police make it clear that this whole thing was some sort of setup. Fleeing the scene, he attempts to make his way home, but is approached by another friend of his, a woman of ill repute, who warns him that there's some G-men wandering around asking about him.
Hey, Cookie. I would recommend you don't go back to your flat tonight.
Wait, hold on. Did she just call him Cookie?
Hey, Cookie.
Cookie.
Monsieur Cookie.
Cookie. Yes, I know Cookie is a completely legitimate name in Japanese, and with the proper accent and cadence, likely sounds completely fine, but this dub does not do accent or cadence. This movie is going to feature intense, dark scenes featuring intense, dark, intimidating men saying threatening and philosophizing things to a man they refer to as Cookie. I just want you to be keenly aware of the hurdles that are already in place not 10 minutes into the film. So, Cookie is warned by his lady friend not to go home, but unfortunately it appears the spooks were watching anyway and they quickly surround him, led by this giant human thumb in a purple suit and orange hair. Look, movie, you can't hit me with this much this soon. Well, maybe he's a really articulate and cool-sounding villain to make up for those Beast Wars proportions he has.
Get this two-time slut out of here.
Fuck you too, meathead!
You can't make him sound like that. People will laugh. You gotta love those "look how much we curse" guys. We're totally serious scripts they used to write for these things.
Ha! I bet you fist fuck your wife because you don't know what to do with your cock! Puh!
Following that truly impressive display, the ginger giant absolutely fucking hammers her, Jesus Christ, prompting Cookie to erupt into a sorta mild rage. Despite managing to off some of the goons, he's subdued and, upon awakening, finds himself being questioned by Mr. Lassar, the head of France's intelligence bureau, who wants Cookie to help him with some clandestine operations and had him set up to encourage his cooperation. After a little electroshock, Cookie agrees to help, his limp body brought before Lassar, where despite the assurances of our purple pin-headed pal,
Mr. Lazar, this man's fucked. Why don't you let us take the job on? We'll take care of it.
Cookie quickly breaks out and flees. Realizing he can't go home, he shacks up with Meraki, an old communist army buddy of his who happens to be in town. The movie takes a few minutes to give us some backstory about their relationship, and I'm sure glad we learned so much about him since Meraki will have exactly jack to do with shit for the remainder of the film. Sneaking into Lassar's bedroom, Cookie holds him at gunpoint and asks him for the details about this mission they want him for. Seems that the CIA, particularly their operations head Charlie McGovern, are being more sneaky and underhanded than usual, particularly in regards to something called Project D, short for, you guessed it, Dracula. What's more, it has something to do with that radio facility that got lit up in the opening, which Cookie is aware of through the news. Lassar doesn't want to be seen to be investigating his allies, and so he needed a third party to work on his behalf. To his shock, and ours, Cookie accepts the job on the condition that his name be cleared and that he receive 2 million francs. Okay, so 2 things about this scene. First, I know I can get kind of pedantic with the dialogue and the writing in these things sometimes, but I swear that this is just straight a botched tape that they left in.
Because you don't want to be seen to be investigating one of your allies. That's very underhand.
Realizing this is a very serious and dangerous clandestine operation, Cookie decides to come up with a code name for himself, and with all the wit and badassery afforded to him by a life of mercenary work, he comes up with...
Well, as they're using Dracula, I shall be known as Bat.
Look at that face. Look at that fucking face. That's the face of someone who is so sure that the thing they just said is the most intelligent, the most clever, the most badass thing anyone has ever written. I should know. I get the exact same look on my face when I write these scripts. The difference, of course, is that I actually earn it, and Cookie's a schmuck. Finally able to return home, Cookie later has a meeting with Marguerite, Lassar's liaison, who has arrived to give him the money and necessary information. But, of course, because he needs to fill out the cool guy bingo card, they prepare for making fuck almost immediately, though not before Marguerite lets out a line that, even in context, sounds completely fucking insane.
The CIA are convinced that the terrorists who attacked the NASA base were actually vampires.
I would like to remind you that in the world of this movie, Cookie has no idea that actual, honest-to-God vampires are involved in any of this, or that they in fact exist at all, likely figuring the Dracula Project name was just some silly affectation. From his perspective, Marguerite might as well have just said, radishes hate Jewish people, or my mother's Range Rover watches Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and it would have made as much sense, but whatever. She's hot, so they bang. Jesus, everyone in this movie is so square, you know what I mean? Like literal cereal box people. Anyway, in the hotel lobby, Cookie notices an uproar centered around a young woman revealed to be Lamia Vindel, a popular model, actress, and socialite who just so happens to be in the same hotel that Cookie was to report to as part of his mission. Lassar confirms that this is no accident and that the CIA has special interest in the girl, who is secretly receiving treatments from a world-renowned hematologist in Paris. Despite Cookie keeping an eye on him over the next several days, he's attacked by the most vampire-looking vampire man you ever did see. Unfortunately, before he can confront the creature, he skips away into the night, leaving the mortally wounded doctor to warn Cookie that the monster is after Lamia, or more specifically,
He wants the blood.
Rushing to Lamia's suite, Cookie finds her guards completely demolished, just an absolute fucking cheese dish, before rushing into her room to find the creatures seemingly moments away from dinner. I want to take a second to just let you feel the mood of this scene. No matter my issues with the movie, it does still rock that really wonderful 80s anime aesthetic. The really deep shadows, the characters with rather overstrong facial features, the deep, goopy blood reds, all of it is absolutely golden. And the music is awesome too. No matter what, I gotta admit, that shit still does hit. Despite easily subduing Cookie with some form of telekinesis, the creature, again, flees, leaving Cookie to usher an unconscious Lamia to a safe room, where he properly introduces himself and offers her his protection. Lamia admits that she was indeed in Paris because the blood doctor, who she had started seeing after experiencing sudden onset panic attacks and bursts of violent hysteria, said he thought he had figured out what was wrong with her, but evidently had been waiting for clarification of some things from his colleague, a microbiologist named Shimamura. Luckily, despite the doctor's untimely demise, Shimamura's results should be with her aunt, and so Cookie and Lamia sneak over to her estate. Despite being clearly relieved to see her niece again, she starts acting a little cagey when Lamia demands to see the results, actively trying to get her out of the room while she discusses things with Cookie. Lamia, quite reasonably, thinks this is bullshit and grabs the results for herself. So at this point, it's pretty obvious that Lamia is going to be revealed to be some sort of demi-human supernatural creature, and that's why the vampires and the CIA want her. I mean, it's not like they're going to do something dumb and reveal her to be some sort of alien mutant or some shit, right? Because that would be silly. So Lamia is revealed to be some sort of alien mutant, made evident by the presence of nucleic acids in her DNA not found in any terrestrial creature. Lamia, of course, takes this with calm and poise, but Cookie doesn't have time to concern himself with that, since Vampire Shin is just chilling out in the courtyard, and after another aborted attempt at using a gun, Cookie lets out a mighty roar and engages the creature in hand-to-hand combat, and manages to land a neck-breaking blow that seemingly finishes the vampire off. Of course, it doesn't finish him off, and the vampire slides his PNG back up and... I didn't like any of that. Once again, the vampire bounces, and Cookie, realizing they have to run again, goes to collect Lamia and her aunt, but not before Lamia turns to Cookie for some masculine comfort, and I guess this is supposed to be their tender, growing closer scene. After contacting Lasar, who tells Cookie he's decided to just turn Lamia over to the CIA anyway, Cookie decides to tell both sides to piss off, and after acquiring some big guns, returns to the safe house where she was supposed to wait with Meraki. Unfortunately, falling for a fairly obvious fake news broadcast about her brother, Lamia ran out to find him, though Meraki at least accompanied her. Realizing Lasar has likely already captured them, Lamia's aunt uses her personal helicopter to fly Cookie right over the estate, where he begins a one-man siege of Lasar's mansion. Quickly finding and releasing Meraki, the two fight their way through the mansion, taking out thugs left and right, until all that's left is the big confrontation between Cookie and Lasar's torpedo-headed ogre of a right hand, and you know there's bad blood there, so expect the throwdown to get real nasty and... Well, that felt unsatisfying. Anyway, the now mortally wounded bowling pin man reveals that Lasar gave Lamia to McGovern in exchange for information about the CIA's activities in France. For his part, McGovern wants to use Lamia as bait to lure out the vampires, since he knows how desperately they want her blood. Having spilled everything he knows, the big guy passes on with the stoic dignity of one who lived his life.
With an unusual nucleic acid in her DNA. Oh, shit!
Sure. Why not? Apparently dying elicits the same sort of mild shock as spilling a drink on the counter or coming across a squirrel. Confronting Lasar, Cookie finds out that McGovern plans to fly her to the US on a specially equipped jet out of a nearby American airbase. Despite being a craven shitlord the rest of the movie, Lasar has a sudden attack of testicular fortitude and tries to take Cookie out with a hidden gun. It goes about as well as you'd expect. Before he can even think about pursuing Lamia, however, Cookie is abducted by our vampire friend and brought to wherever this place is, and forced to listen to the vampire, Mirsha, give quite possibly the most insane tidal wave of exposition this side of Final Fantasy VIII. Alright, big man, hit me.
Solar systems have been locked in confrontation together. The Larusa civilization is based on worship of a universal spiritual god, whilst their enemies, the Gathers, have no god.
Alright. Yeah, no, that explains the walrus. Yeah.
They developed. The civilizations adopted different solutions to the same
Alright. Okay, alright, I gotcha. And only in 2 payments. Okay.
Managed it by using the spiritual forces of the universe instead of science.
Alright.
Both
Alright.
civilizations succeeded in achieving
I think I got all
forms
this
of
down.
immortality.
Okay, so before we even get started, I just want to address Mirsha here, insisting that no, he's not a butcher, he just kills in self-defense. Self-defense. Defense of the self. Those are not self-defense eyes. Those are ladies screaming at the floor on the J train at 2 in the morning eyes. You can't fool me. Now, I refuse to let this video drag on to hell and back, so we're going to burn through this info dump right quick. First twist. Turns out vampires are in fact aliens. See, the inhabitants of 2 star systems, the Larusians and the Gagols, have been in conflict for many millennia. The Gagols believe in science and technology, while the Larusians worship a universal spiritual god. They both managed to achieve spaceflight, the Gagols with their ships and the Larusians through harnessing cosmic energy. They even managed to figure out immortality, the Gagols using life support machines, while the Larusians harness and hold Zaruka inside themselves, the same universal energy that powers their interstellar travel. And are you having fun? Good, we're only halfway there. 5,000 years ago, the Larusian leader suffered a terrible injury, and while unable to die thanks to the cosmic life juice he had absorbed, he did fall into a coma and then fell to Earth, specifically to the mountains of Transylvania. That leader's name was, you guessed it, Varaswaldi.
Varaswaldi!
Don't do that. Anyway, turns out human blood has enough Zaruka to sustain them, hence the whole killing and drinking humans thing they've become known for down the years. As for that unpleasantness in the opening, the base was about to send radio signals into space that might have attracted the attention of the Gagols, who have been looking for Varaswaldi for the past 5,000 years to finish him off, but so far haven't even bothered to look on a tiny backwater like Earth. If that signal goes out, it may draw the attention of the Gagols, which would be bad for Varaswaldi, bad for the vampires, bad for America. Finally, and stay with me, we're almost through, the reason the vampires want Lamia so bad is because, for reasons that, I just realized they never tell you why, but whatever. For some reason, Lamia has much higher concentrations of Zaruka in her blood than the rest of humanity, enough to finally wake up Varaswaldi. They just need a little and will be happy to leave her alone after he's woken up. So, seeing no reason not to cooperate, Cookie agrees to help out in order to save Lamia, and they set off to catch McGovern before he leaves. So, as we all predicted when the movie started, Cookie, now fighting alongside his paramilitary vampire alien mutant pals, storms a American air base in France to rescue a pop star before the CIA could use her vaguely defined magical alien blood for nefarious purposes. I mean, shit, man, if I had a nickel for every time that was the plot of an 80s anime, I'd have the most nickels. There'd be so many nickels. Okay, alright, let's wrap this shit up. So the gang attacks the military base, and a massive gunfight ensues where the vampires clear a path for Cookie to get to McGovern's jet, which he does right as it takes off. Unfortunately, Cookie is quickly dismantled by McGovern's brick shithouse of a henchman, and just when all hope seems lost. Lamia, seemingly channeling whatever powers Zaruka is supposed to give you, comes to the rescue, no-selling both of McGovern's guards in rather spectacular fashion before turning her ire on McGovern himself. Charlie decides she's more trouble than she's worth and decides to just shoot her, though Cookie rather stupidly decides to take the bullet, and I say stupidly because bullets had been visibly ineffective on her earlier, but whatever, and Lamia dispatches McGovern Bela Lugosi style. Lamia drains Cookie's blood, which heals him, somehow, and she seems to be fairly at peace with her genetic nonconformities. The day is saved. Cookie and his lady are back together. Cookie delivers one of the best ending lines in anime history.
No, it's actually a wonderful thing.
Why? Is there something that you haven't told me?
Something very important. You're needed in Transylvania.
And the movie mercifully ends. Oh, what can I even say? I mean, you were here. You saw what they did. Christ, I feel like someone licked my brain with a tongue piercing. And yet, I can't say I had the most miserable time imaginable. Let's not mince words here. This is not a good movie. Its plot is meandering and has next to no stable through line. Its characters are cardboard. The production value vis-a-vis the dialogue and the animation can get harrowingly low. And it spends a huge amount of time with almost nothing happening until suddenly hitting you with way too much in the last 10 minutes. But for the connoisseur of crap, the travelers in the furthest realms of obscure schlock garbage, it's practically a treasure, a gem from a simpler time. Get a bunch of friends with a high tolerance for cheese and trash, grab some drinks, have a ball. Just try not to think too hard about anything while watching, and you'll do just fine.